Picture this: a family of 4 driving through the endless expanse of the Utah desert, their car kicking up clouds of red dust as they navigate a remote highway that stretches like a ribbon across the barren landscape. They're laughing, planning their future, completely unaware that within hours they'll vanish without a trace, leaving behind one of the most haunting mysteries in American history. Before we dive into this chilling tale that will keep you on the edge of your seat, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because we're about to uncover secrets that have remained buried for decades, and you won't want to miss a single detail of what really happened to the Morrison family. The year was 1987, and the Utah desert was experiencing one of its harshest summers on record. Temperatures soared well above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, creating shimmering mirages that danced across the horizon like ghostly apparitions. It was against this unforgiving backdrop that the Morrison family, David, 35, his wife Sarah, 32, and their 2 young children, Emma, 8, and Michael, 6, began what should have been a routine drive from Salt Lake City to their new home in Phoenix, Arizona. David had just landed a promising job with a tech company, and the family was excited about starting fresh in a new state. Sarah had packed their blue 1985 Honda Civic with everything they'd need for the journey: snacks, water bottles, toys for the children, and a cooler filled with ice to combat the desert heat. The last confirmed sighting of the Morrison family came at 2:47 p.m. when they stopped at a small gas station in Moab, Utah. The elderly clerk, Harold Jenkins, would later tell investigators that he remembered the family clearly because little Emma had been fascinated by a small cactus growing near the station's entrance, asking her father endless questions about how plants could survive in such harsh conditions. David had seemed relaxed, joking with the clerk about the oppressive heat while Sarah organized snacks in the back seat for the children. Security footage from the gas station showed David filling up the tank, checking the oil, and even kicking the tires, the actions of a cautious man preparing for a long desert crossing. At 3:15 p.m., the blue Honda pulled away from the station, heading south on Highway 191, disappearing into the heat haze that rose from the asphalt like invisible flames. What happened next has puzzled investigators, amateur sleuths, and the Morrison family's relatives for over 3 decades. Highway 191 through southeastern Utah is notoriously desolate, cutting through some of the most remote and inhospitable terrain in the American Southwest. For miles and miles, there's nothing but red rock formations, scattered Joshua trees, and an oppressive silence that seems to swallow sound itself. The road winds through canyons where cell phone signals disappear entirely, and where a mechanical breakdown or wrong turn can quickly become life-threatening. It's a landscape that has claimed numerous victims over the years, but few disappearances have been as complete or as baffling as what befell the Morrison family that scorching afternoon. When the family failed to arrive at their Phoenix destination by the expected time, Sarah's sister, Rebecca, initially wasn't too concerned. Desert travel can be unpredictable, she reasoned, and perhaps they decided to stop somewhere overnight to escape the heat. But as hours turned into a full day, and then 2 days with no phone calls or messages, a cold dread began to settle in her stomach. David was meticulous about communication, especially when traveling with the children. He would never leave family members wondering about their safety without good reason. Rebecca contacted the Utah State Police, officially reporting the family missing on July 18, 1987. The search effort that followed was massive and unprecedented. Helicopters equipped with thermal imaging cameras swept across thousands of square miles of desert, their rotors cutting through air so hot it created dangerous downdrafts. Ground crews in 4-wheel drive vehicles methodically combed through arroyos, behind rock formations, and down dirt roads that barely qualified as paths. Volunteers from across Utah and Arizona joined the effort, forming search lines that stretched across the desert floor like human chains, their eyes scanning every shadow, every crevice, every possible place where a car might have gone off the road. The search dogs, specially trained for desert conditions, worked until their paws were bloody from the sharp rocks and thorny vegetation, but they found no trace of human scent beyond the gas station in Moab. Days stretched into weeks and weeks into months. The story of the missing Morrison family became front-page news across the region, generating hundreds of tips and reported sightings. A trucker claimed he'd seen a blue Honda broken down on the side of Highway 191 around 4 p.m. on July 17th. But when investigators reached the location he described, they found nothing. A rancher reported seeing smoke rising from a remote canyon, but aerial searches revealed only the remains of an old campfire that had been cold for years. Each lead seemed promising until it dissolved under scrutiny, leaving investigators grasping at shadows in a case that seemed to defy all logical explanation. The vast Utah desert seemed to have simply swallowed the Morrison family whole, leaving behind no clues, no debris, no indication of what had gone wrong. The landscape itself became suspect, with its hidden canyons that could conceal a vehicle for decades, its flash flood channels that could bury evidence under tons of sand and rock, and its extreme temperatures that could quickly eliminate any biological traces. Local law enforcement officers, many of whom had worked missing person cases for decades, admitted they'd never encountered anything quite like the Morrison disappearance. It was as if the family had driven into an invisible portal and vanished from existence entirely. As months turned into years, the official search efforts gradually scaled back, though they never officially ended. The case file remained open, accumulating dust in the Utah State Police headquarters while new mysteries took precedence. Sarah's sister Rebecca never gave up hope, organizing private search parties and hiring private investigators who explored increasingly exotic theories about what might have happened. Some suggested the family had been victims of foul play, perhaps encountering dangerous individuals in that remote stretch of desert. Others theorized about mechanical failures that had sent the car careening into hidden ravines. A few even proposed that the family had deliberately disappeared, starting new lives under assumed identities, though this theory never gained serious traction, given the family's stable finances and close relationships with extended family members. Local folklore began to grow around the Morrison disappearance, as often happens with unexplained mysteries in remote areas. Native American communities in the region spoke in hushed tones about certain areas of the desert where people had vanished throughout history, places where the earth itself seemed hungry for human souls. Some locals claimed to have seen ghostly lights moving across the desert at night, always in the general area where the family was believed to have disappeared. Others reported hearing the faint sound of children's voices carried on the desert wind, though such claims were generally dismissed as the products of overactive imaginations and the desert's well-known ability to play auditory tricks on the human mind. The Morrison children would have grown up by now, Emma reaching her late 30s and Michael his mid-30s. Sometimes Rebecca would see young adults who bore a resemblance to her sister's children and feel her heart skip a beat, wondering if somehow, impossibly, they had survived and grown up somewhere far from the desert. But these moments of hope always gave way to the crushing reality that 25 years had passed without a single credible sighting or piece of evidence. The family had simply vanished as completely as if they had never existed at all. Then came the spring of 2012, 25 years after the disappearance, when everything changed in the most unexpected way imaginable. A team of geologists from the University of Utah was conducting a routine survey of mineral deposits in a remote section of the desert, approximately 40 miles south of where the Morrison family was last seen. The team was using ground-penetrating radar to map underground rock formations when Dr. Elena Rodriguez noticed an anomaly in the readings. The radar was detecting a large metallic object buried roughly 8 feet beneath the desert surface, in an area that showed no signs of recent disturbance above ground. But here's the chilling part that no one expected. The object's size and shape were consistent with that of an automobile, buried in a location so remote that it would take specialized equipment just to reach it, let alone excavate it. Dr. Rodriguez contacted local authorities, and within days, a careful archaeological-style dig began at the site. What they uncovered sent shockwaves through the law enforcement community and reopened one of Utah's most enduring cold cases. The excavation revealed a blue 1985 Honda Civic, its paint faded and its metal corroded but still remarkably intact after decades underground. The license plate, though tarnished, was still readable, the same number registered to David Morrison 25 years earlier. Inside the vehicle, investigators found personal belongings that belonged to the family. Sarah's purse with her identification still inside, children's toys scattered across the backseat, and a cooler that had once held ice for their desert journey. But the most haunting discovery was a child's drawing, apparently created by Emma during the trip, showing a family of 4 stick figures standing next to a car under a smiling sun. The condition of the car raised immediate questions that seemed to defy logical explanation. The vehicle showed no signs of having been in an accident, no impact damage, no broken glass, no indication that it had rolled or crashed. The tires were still properly inflated, the engine appeared to be in working order, and there was still gasoline in the tank. Most puzzling of all, the car was found in a perfectly level position, as if it had been carefully placed in the ground rather than buried by natural forces or hidden hastily by human hands. Even more disturbing was the discovery that the car had been buried with deliberate precision. The excavation revealed that someone had dug a precisely sized pit, lowered the vehicle into it, and then carefully backfilled the hole with native soil and rock. The process would have required heavy machinery and considerable time, yet it had been accomplished in one of the most remote and inaccessible areas of the Utah desert. Whoever had buried the Morrison family's car had gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure it would never be found, and had very nearly succeeded. But the most chilling discovery came when investigators opened the trunk of the Honda Civic. Inside, they found 4 small objects that had been carefully wrapped in plastic and placed with what appeared to be ceremonial precision. A man's wedding ring engraved with DM and SM, forever. A woman's gold necklace with a heart-shaped locket containing photos of the children. A small stuffed elephant that had clearly been well loved by a child. And a family photograph taken at Christmas 1986, just months before their disappearance. These personal items had been preserved with care that suggested deep emotional significance, as if someone had wanted to memorialize the Morrison family while simultaneously erasing all trace of their existence. The forensic analysis of the burial site revealed evidence that challenged every theory investigators had developed over the past quarter-century. Carbon dating of organic material found in the soil layers indicated that the car had been buried within weeks of the family's disappearance, ruling out the possibility that it had been hidden recently by someone trying to conceal old evidence. Tool marks on the metal components suggested that the vehicle had been disassembled and reassembled during the burial process, a level of mechanical expertise that indicated the involvement of someone with considerable automotive knowledge. Most disturbing of all was the discovery of a handwritten note, carefully preserved in a waterproof container and hidden beneath the car's spare tire. The note, written in block letters that couldn't be traced to any individual handwriting, contained a single sentence that has haunted investigators ever since. They found peace where the desert keeps its secrets, and their journey continues in a place beyond maps. The paper was analyzed by the FBI's forensic document experts, but they could determine nothing about its author, except that it had been written with a common ballpoint pen sometime in 1987. The reopened investigation brought new attention to other unsolved disappearances in the Utah desert region, revealing a pattern that had never been noticed before. Over the past 50 years, at least a dozen individuals and families had vanished in similar circumstances, last seen driving through remote desert areas, never found despite extensive searches, leaving behind no trace of their fate. The Morrison case was unique only in that their car had eventually been discovered. The others remained missing entirely, their stories relegated to cold case files and fading memories. Today, more than 3 decades after the Morrison family vanished, and over a decade since their car was found, the case remains officially unsolved. The Utah State Police continue to follow leads and investigate new theories, but the desert has kept its most important secret: what actually happened to David, Sarah, Emma, and Michael Morrison during those final hours before their car was buried 8 feet beneath the unforgiving Utah sand. Some investigators believe the family encountered someone with dangerous intentions in that remote stretch of desert. Others theorize about elaborate cover-ups involving unknown parties with the resources and motivation to make a family disappear so completely. The Morrison family's fate serves as a haunting reminder of how quickly ordinary lives can be swallowed by mystery, and how the vast American wilderness still holds secrets that may never be revealed. Their story has become part of Utah desert folklore, whispered around campfires and discussed in online forums dedicated to unsolved mysteries. Every year, amateur investigators and curiosity seekers make pilgrimages to the area where the car was found, hoping to discover some overlooked clue that might finally solve the puzzle of what happened to a family whose only crime was driving through the wrong stretch of desert at the wrong time. If this story has left you with chills and unanswered questions, you're not alone. The Morrison family mystery represents just one of countless unsolved cases that continue to baffle investigators and capture public imagination. Make sure you subscribe to our channel right now, because we'll be bringing you more true mystery stories that will keep you awake at night, wondering about the secrets that still lie hidden in the shadows of our world. The truth is out there, waiting to be discovered, and together we'll continue searching for answers to the questions that refuse to let us rest.